Porsche power absolutely screams in these forested hills. Get ready for some eye-watering speed because it's time for qualifying as we get ready to watch the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America GT3 Cup Series by Yokohama. I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is former racer Joey Atterbury, along with sports car racer Ashley Freiberg. Joey, testing's done, practice is done. Time to really unleash these things.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the speed that these Cup cars can make around America's National Park of Speed. Let's take a look at the track map. Over 150 feet of elevation change, over 4 miles and 14 turns. These Cup cars reach some incredible top speeds, at least 3 times a lap around here, once on the front straightaway, once on the moraine sweep, and then once down through the kettle bottom section into turn number 12, Canada corner. Elevation throughout this place, from turn 12 all the way up to the start-finish line, is uphill. That means pretty much up and down from turn 1, down through the carousel. These drivers are going to see it all here at Road America.
Without a doubt. And Ashley, I know you've got some experience in the Cup cars here. So, I mean, what's some of the areas the drivers really could find some speed today?
The biggest thing with this track and with these cars are the brake zones. So even a faster corner like turn 1, you can still get on those brakes super hard. You can see Therese really getting on that brake pedal there on her first flying lap. Turn 3 is a big one. Turn 5, turn 8, 12, 14. I mean, there's a lot of good areas to make sure you have a really good technique on the brake, but then also making sure you're getting good exit speed onto these really long straightaways. I mean, the front straightaway is about a mile long. So you want to make sure you get a good run out of that corner. And then there's also some good high-speed corners as well. So, I mean, really all the corners are equally as important, just a little bit different technique as you go.
Now, one thing to watch out for on our timing and scoring tower is there's going to be 3 cars that won't be counting towards the points paying positions once we get to the racing, obviously, but they will be looking for overall position. You've got Fens up there in the 133 and Jezik there in the 199. They are running the 991 GT3 Cup car. They'll be unclassified in the race itself. And then Jimmy Libre is out there in the 262. That's the 992 Cup car. So again, that's not going to be competing for points paying positions, but our winner last week here in the Carrera Cup is going to try and see how quick he is against some of our Sprint Challenge drivers.
I think it's a good benchmark, right? Bring one of these Carrera Cup drivers down here into Sprint Challenge and show these drivers, okay, this is the speed level that I need to go out and start to aim for in terms of my expectations when I come to a racetrack. I like it. You know, in my racing career, I've always tried to jump into the deep end of these fields. So when you have somebody that's that fast, like we've got with Libre out here, like I said, I think it's just a benchmark to go out there and set. And it looks like we've already got an early red flag on the racetrack, and this is in the kink, Joe.
Uh-oh.
Typically, those are pretty large accidents.
Yeah, and I'm looking through some of our cameras to see if we could spot somebody. And it's in Canada corner.
Well, we've got
multiple incidents. So that's the 227. That's Joel Johnson that has beached himself. Or no, he hasn't beached himself. He hasn't reached the gravel. So there may be some sort of issue with the car because I'm not seeing any damage on it from our angle.
And I wonder if this is the car from the kink. I do see some left side damage on the car. So I wonder if he went off in the kink, kicked up all of that dirt, and then simply drove it down to Canada corner. And I don't see anybody stopped on that straightaway here. And Joe, you're right. You're pointing at that left rear quarter panel. You can definitely see the damage on that side of the car.
And the tire also, Ashley, it looks like has some dirt and dust on it. So he definitely got into something on that side, and it's riding low. Yeah, I think he must have hit something.
Yeah, it looked like, just like you said, Joe, there was a lot of dust up in the air at the exit of the kink. So when you get up on that exit curb in the kink, it gets much more aggressive, and if you use too much of it, sometimes it can pull you off into the grass, and once you have a couple wheels in the grass, sometimes it will fully pull you out to that outside wall. So maybe he just clipped the wall there.
And remember, none of these cars have put down a lap time yet. They're still warming up, so it's going to be slippery out there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it takes some time to get some heat into your tires, some tire pressure up as well. You want to use your brakes to really get that pressure up before you go for your flyer. So if this was on his out lap, I'm sure the pressures were still a little bit on the lower side. And yeah, I mean, the kink is just tricky even when the tire pressures are perfect. So yeah, it's just a bummer to see that. And hopefully the damage isn't too bad to where he can still get out for the race.
Less than 10 minutes to go. The good news is it looks like, I mean, that car should be able to be pulled out of there somewhat quickly. There's not a lot of body work that I could see that they had to clean up. So hopefully we can get back out there. But my goodness, this might be a one-lap, one-shot thing, Joey.
It certainly could be, depending on how long it takes to get this car kind of moved out of that spot to end. Nobody has put down a lap time. 0 cars have been able to put down a lap time. So the cars that we expected to be at the front, they're going to have to hustle to get this lap time put on the board. Remember, this is Group A in qualifying. We still have Group B coming up, so the field is completely split between the 2 groups, but the red flag cuts into this track time for Group A.
And that makes me really curious. I'm going to have to maybe like pull up the rule book, because we have this split qualifying. What happens if they don't manage to get times for this first group and they do for the second group?
I would have to go verify with the rule book as well, but I'm a little bit of an old school competitor, and you got the track time that's for you, and if somebody kind of takes it away from you, it's tough cookies, right?
Yeah.
You got to deal with it.
So we're getting information. So what they will do, it sounds like, is if something prevents them, or they have some serious discrepancy that maybe there's weather, perhaps, that they will line up Group 1 on the inside row, Group 2 on the outside row, so that it's a little bit more even according to the cars and not to the overall time. So that answers that question. Big thank you to Mike, our producer, for helping us with that info, as they do have the wrecker out there and are trying to pull the cars quick as they can. They know that time is of the essence, but they got to go through all the processes correctly.
And what I would expect is happening down there is that we kind of documented there is some damage on the left rear of the car. So I wouldn't doubt it if that maybe has affected the transmission or something in the back end there. Typically, if you take a big hit to the rear axle, call it the rear wheel, it can kind of not make these Porsches too happy, and therefore you got to get that rollback out there and really kind of put it up on the flatbed, so that way you don't do any more damage.
So, Ashley, I'm curious, if we get, just a single flying lap for this, I'm just a sim racer, so I've always felt like, I don't know how you guys, put your absolute best out there in that first try. I mean, what goes into saying, I gotta do this right every corner, this one lap?
It all comes down to preparation. So, I mean, preparation leading up to the event, making sure you're memorizing the track through driving the sim, through looking at video, data, laps in your head, visualization. And so that also applies throughout practice. And now even when you're sitting in pit lane, just like these cars are right now, all lined up, you visualize a lap. So that way when you go out on track, your brain is switched on, and it's like as if you had been running a full session. So you have to attack right away and get your tire pressures up quickly, using those brakes really hard on your out lap and going for it for that first lap.
I like to take an analytical approach. She's 100% right in it that you should visualize everything and get into that mindset. But I like to think, all right, I know that I can go to X breakpoint in turn number 1. I can go to Y breakpoint in turn number 5. And I have all of these markers around the racetrack, and think of it like a math equation. As long as I get X plus Y plus Z plus all these other corners, it's going to add up to that perfect lap time. However, it's still up to the driver to hit every single one of those points.
And hopefully these drivers on this half a lap or maybe a full lap that they were able to read the track conditions as well. So to add to what Joey was saying, maybe with these tires and this track condition, they can brake a little bit deeper. Okay, next time I can brake at the 150. So you have all those markers in your head.
We're down to 4 minutes to go, but as we can see on the pictures, they do have it on the back of the flatbed. I guess the do or die time is getting out of the lane, probably, what, about 2 minutes 30 left?
Yeah, so I think that we saw the Cayman GT4s on pole, what was it, about a 215, a high 215, so I'd expect these cars to be more in kind of the 205 range. So yeah, you need to get out there with over 2 minutes remaining. You need to be released from pit lane with over 2 minutes remaining, and you better be on it in one of the first cars.
Clock is ticking down. If we do hit that, 205 or so, then theoretically, nobody can go out.
And it's got to be past 205, because think about it, you're doing 150 miles an hour to start your 205 lap time at start finish while we're starting from a dead stop in pit lane. It's got to probably be more about the 215, 220 mark.
Yeah, exactly. So pretty close to what I was saying earlier about a 230 to go, and they've got about 30 seconds here, and that truck is still out. So I'm not sure that we'll get this restarted, which again is I'm not sure how they're going to line them up then if we don't get any laps in from this group, but we'll hopefully get that information. We might be using practice times, and that was something I kind of suspected might be the case. The other option I've seen with some series is, of course, using championship position, but we don't have any confirmation, so we're just spitballing here. We'll get you that as soon as we get that info in our hands.
You know what's going to be fun, though, is watching some of these invitational cars, especially Jimmy Libre, one of the fastest guys that's going to be here. If he's got to start all the way at the back of the pack, that could be some fun action to watch.
It'll give us some thrills, that's for sure, and really put the drivers who are trying to get up to that Carrera Cup maybe a bit of a wake-up call on what they're going to be up against if they have to battle him out on track. So they're now leaving, but we're under 2 minutes left, so this is beyond. So we do have information from Race Control that says stay tuned. They are going to feed us some more info. So we wait for that before we relay that to you, and that's kind of a good sign, Joey. That means maybe they'll give him at least a shot.
Yeah, I think that all the drivers they want an opportunity, right? They feel wronged that, hey, this was my opportunity on track time, and it kind of got taken away from me because of somebody else. So I understand the frustration, and I also understand Race Control's side of things that, yeah, we need to get our competitors an opportunity to go out there and actually set a lap time. So I think it's the give and take between both sides, the competitor side plus the Race Control side, to work out something that I think is fair.
And the nice thing is we're not on a super tight schedule this weekend, though we do have multiple series here. So there might be a little bit of wiggle room in that. Plus, we are actually, this is the last of the morning stuff. So that also provides maybe some buffer that they can kind of squeak this in while we watch the cars still remaining at the exit of pit lane, also waiting to hear word and find out. Of course, we will still have that second group to go. Let's hope that we don't have the same problem with them over there, and that we get a nice clean one. Well, and Ashley, this honestly kind of goes back to what we talked about during the Cayman Series qualifying, that this really illustrates what we had mentioned, that this track, it takes no prisoners.
Yeah, definitely the danger element is always lurking. So still have to make sure you're really, really precise every single time you go out on track, because anything can happen in a split second of a moment. And even for the rest of the drivers here, they had a plan in their head on what they're going to do for qualifying. And now with the timing kind of being taken away, it kind of can throw you off a little bit. So, making sure you're still keeping your head in the game. Hopefully they can give these guys and girls another shot at this, and making sure that their heads are in the right place for it.
We've been told Race Control says time has expired. Stand by for more instructions. So we are down at 0 on our clock now.
I think what's going to be most telling is what happens to these cars that are currently lined up to go out on track. I think that will tell us pretty much immediately of if they're going to get another opportunity or if we're going to slip it on over to Group B.
Yeah. So we're hearing that one of the teams is having an issue with radio communications, and they are allowing them to swap the radio cable because of the fact that they want them in communication since they assume they will be going back out. So pieces are being put together. Our Sherlock hats are on, and we think we've got an inkling that we're going to at least get some action on track. But yeah, I do like one of the easy things with here is that you can tell when they're done because you see that little gap on pit exit off to viewers left there. Drivers can simply turn into there and exit back into the paddock right there.
The other thing is, you mentioned Sherlock. I kind of prefer to think of myself as the world's greatest detective. That's Batman over there. And so he's really got his eyes on the racetrack, just trying to figure out exactly what's going on. But you're right. We're trying to do our best detective work out here. Whether that's going to be Sherlock or Batman, we'll see who comes up with the right information.
Am I Robin or Alfred?
I don't know at that point, Joe.
All right. Personally, I'm a Poirot fan, but I guess that's probably typical of me as we wait for some more information here. We're just in a holding pattern. Definitely one of the more unusual situations we've had in all of the qualifying in my year and a half of covering Sprint Challenge. Have not seen a situation quite like this in the past. Big, healthy field, obviously, as you can see from our grid here at Road America. Cars just going all the way down, even past the crest of this front stretch. They are adding exactly 1 lap to the clock, and we can see that on our timing tower now. Oh, okay, excuse me, that is not correct. So we'll keep you up to speed. Obviously, we're going to try and get that sorted, so you can kind of ignore that clock until we tell you to, essentially. So don't worry about what it says in the upper left. Just know that they will give them enough time for a single flying lap to try to set something representative, and that will hopefully give us a field of cars that will line up according to where they are. But again, Joey, pressure is on. You have to perform. You have to execute. Who can do it?
The good part is, though, is that these drivers have had plenty of time to basically figure out exactly what they need to do in terms of that lap. So I think that they should be okay. Like we heard Ashley say, they're going to be visualizing the lap. They're already strapped into the car. They've already done the out lap. So I think that these drivers have done all the preparation that they need to. They're just antsy to get out there.
I can hear engines rumbling. So, yeah, they're getting ready to go. We're told that they are going to put 7 minutes on the clock on the hour, which is about a minute from now. So they're getting ready to go out imminently. And then we're on our way back to the races, or at least qualifying. And we've got those 2 different classes, or at least classes that are going to be scored on our tower. Look for the blue cars to be your Masters class and the black boxes to be your Pro-Am class. In the Pro-Am, it has been Cole Kleck who has been really ruling the roost up there. He's only missed a win in 1 race, and that was due to a penalty, if anything, due to a restart. So it's never been a question of pace for Cole Kleck. He should be here today to try and qualify, but not in this first group.
I think speaking of this Group A, the names that we typically see up there, Scott Blend is in here. Obviously, the invitational drivers that we have mentioned a little bit earlier. You were mentioning Cole Kleck. I see Dusek is also out there. He just had a terrific weekend out there at Laguna Seca, really kind of having a comeback drive in race number 2, and looks like we officially have that green flag. So we are going to be sending cars out of pit lane, and it is up to the drivers to get out there and perform immediately.
There is no waiting. There is no dawdling. Everybody is right on it and trying to get out on track as soon as possible. So, yeah, you mentioned Scott Blend out there. We've also got another returner, I should say. Dave Musial Sr. Is out on track this weekend in the 226. So we'll see how he does getting back in the saddle. Haven't had him since last season when he raced with his son for much of the season. So glad to have that familiar face return. Boy, finding track space, I imagine, Ashley, going to be a little bit difficult, though, with everybody out at the same time.
Yeah, they're doing a really nice job, though. I mean, no one's really dilly-dallying here. I think that's when things get extra messy, is someone really holding everybody up. So having this limited time is actually a good thing, because it's forcing everyone to go, find your space, and keep the same momentum. Don't be, checking up and trying to find something. But what I like as well, don't forget, we need 2 laps here. There are 2 races.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that they gave 7 minutes does give you enough time to squeeze 2 laps in. I was wondering what we were going to do about that. So that's a good sign.
Good catch on that one. Yeah, we have to remember that they're setting the grid for both. And for those that are not familiar with the rule set here, your second fastest lap is going to be setting the grid for race number 2 on Sunday morning. All right, we're getting ready to have cars starting their flying laps pretty shortly here. We'll see who is going to be able to find speed on the first call.
Another name that I noticed is here in Group A is Danny Deshelski. Remember, he's really been doing terrific this year. He was, I think the opening round of Sonoma was in a Cayman GT4 and really ran away from the field and has since transitioned into these 992 GT3 Cup cars. I think at VIR he was really chasing Cole Kleck pretty much the whole weekend. So that's another car to look out for. That's the 252.
I think the big thing that impressed us about VIR, Ashley, was that that was the first time Deshelski had raced in a Cup car. Like Joey mentioned, he was in the GT4 before, so his transition hopping up was, I think, a bit eye-opening.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, really, I think the GT4s are almost a little bit more challenging to drive in some ways, so it really prepares you nicely when you get into the GT3 Cup cars, so that's really cool to see that.
All right, we start to get some times on the board. We wait for the Sector 1 to flash past us now that we've got at least a dozen cars or so that have gone by the start-finish line. We ride on board with Nick Groombridge coming down through Turn 3, that critical exit onto the Moraine sweep. There's going to be just a couple little bends to the right and to the left, and then it's heavy braking down into 5.
Let's see the top speed that he reaches is going to click up into 6th gear right before the brake zone here, 155 miles an hour. I think it got up to almost 160 before he jumped on the brakes. And remember, that's our middle straightaway here. We reach that top gear, 6th gear, 3 times a lap here in these cars.
There is some personal best being set out there, and of course we do have the data from earlier in the session when drivers were on a flying lap. So this is, I mean, we can expect a few of them to not be personal best out there, and will give us an inkling. And the other thing to watch out for is who is going to be purple in various sectors. And to what we were talking about, Danny Deshelski has the fastest first sector of anybody.
Yeah, 36.9 out there in sector number 1 for the 252s. We watch Groombridge go through the carousel section into the exit, and this is going up into the kink, one of the fastest corners in motorsports. You better have those tires up to temperatures and pressures, and you see how fast it is down this back straightaway. I'm looking at the clock. We're at 3 minutes here, and our first times are going to be rolling in right about now.
Looking for cars to go by us. Therese Lalu is going to be the first one. Sets a time of a 2:12.0, but is immediately beat by Blend, who is in the Masters class, so different category, 2:11.3, now our provisional pole. Mim, the next across the line, a 2:12.2. He slots into 3rd overall. It looks like Fens has brought it into pit lane. I think with him being invitational, maybe just trying to get out of the way of the other drivers. Although that has disappeared now, so maybe that was just a timing and scoring glitch. Jezik is 4th overall in a 991, mind you, so a completely different car than those around him.
I think that Scott Blend is going to be happy with that first lap time. I remember sitting around at lunch yesterday, and he said that he was a little bit frustrated with the speed that he was trying to get out of the car, as it looks like we've got a new provisional P1. And Joe, you're pointing out Danny Deshelski has gone purple, 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 and now on top of the board, 210.1, provisional pole.
Ooh, he's going to be feeling good about that. Quicker than Libre, who we know is fast. Again, he is sort of the measuring stick for a lot of these drivers this weekend. Danny, not just racing here in Sprint Challenge, but has also been competing in SRO in previous weeks this season. So that seat time is paying off handsomely for the 252.
Let's see if he can put together lap number 2 as we continue to watch this day glow color of 2:45. Scott Blend ride with him through the kink here. You see just a little bit of a breathe off of the gas there and then commit back to it. Look at the rev lights up into 6th gear. Pick out your brake marker on the left side of the racetrack. Really get that brake pedal pressure carried all the way to the apex. And then immediately back on the gas up the hill. And Joe, it is all an uphill climb through 13. It flattens out a little bit here into this tricky brake zone for 14.
All right, the clock tells the tale. Where is this going to put Blend? He currently sits 3rd overall, but he is still the pole sitter for the Masters class. He's been on quite a tear himself in recent races, but has been sort of interrupted by Caden Kelly at VIR. Still 2 second places as we wait for him to cross the line. Can he take it to Libre or Deshelski, who is now purple in Sector 1 and Sector 2 once again, quicker than Libre? Where is our bright yellow car across the line? And he's already gone, hasn't he?
That's no Scott Blend, I believe, has crossed the line. He did not improve his lap time, but I'm looking at Deshelski here again because his Sector 2 time, extremely impressive. I don't see anybody else within half second, 3/4 of a second there in Sector 2, so I have a feeling this one's going to be even faster.
Man, just really wowing us with what little time we've seen Deshelski this season. Hope he continues to come back. Checkered flag being waved for various cars, including Deshelski and Libre. A 2:09.9 is our quickest. The first driver to break that 2:10 mark is Danny Deshelski. Libre stays P2 overall. And as we said, Blend did not improve.
I think that Danny might have got a little bit of help on the uphill straightaway. I saw him side by side with another car here at start finish. And at Road America, anytime you can pick up any sort of draft, it's going to benefit you.
Just a couple cars to go. And no, excuse me, that was our last car that just went by us. That's everybody that should be done. I think a few managed to get by the line before the checkered flag. Not sure if they're going to let them complete those hot laps.
I would assume so. I mean, it's 7 minutes on the board. It's up to you to get lined up first or not. And to your point, I think it was Therese Lalu, Scott Blend were 2 of those cars that were some of the first out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Therese has just set Sector 1 and Sector 2 personal bests.
Okay, so she's still going for it. And we'll wait patiently before we call this finishing order. And it does look like a group of them are coming around turn 14 now. So checkered flag awaits who has found just that little bit of speed and the extra time that they've been given in this one. Therese Lalu will get a 2:11.6, stays 3rd in class, but nice finish to the session.
As we get the rest of these cars coming across, I think the last cars are probably in Canada Corner right now that can actually finish these laps. It's just a combination of who got by that checkered flag before it actually flew versus who is on a cool down lap right now. I think I see Pratt is still out there in the 202. Here comes a car up the hill. It's the 199. Not going to improve position. That was Jezik back there sitting in 14th overall.
Yeah, the last of them now across. That should be pretty much it. I know Alex Pratt has not shaken the checkered flag. He sits 4th overall. So I'm kind of giving it a little bit to see if he comes across and changes this top order in that 202. He's going to come into the pit lane, so that wraps it up, and that is everybody now done. Danny Deshelski, wow, impressing with the overall pole position and obviously top in the Pro-Ams. Invitational driver Libre will be starting next to him. Then it's going to be Scott Blend, pole for the Masters. After that, Alex Pratt will be 4th overall. Kron will be P5, Therese Lalu in 6th, and Mim in 7th. Dusek will be P8 with Musil. Nice effort there, 4th in class, 9th overall. And Joey, our top 10 going to be rounded out by Gafarov there in the 288.
And then we got Poole back here in the 11th place, 6th in Pro-Am, call it. And Mr. Hutter back here in 12th overall. Shermer in 13th with Jezik in 14th. De Jesus back here 15th and Groombridge 16th. And then we had 2 cars that did not put down a lap time. That is Fens, and unfortunately for Joel Johnson, we saw the red flag early, and he is going to be having to fix that car up in time for the race.
So I believe we'll take a short moment of break here before we head back to the next session. Again, don't go away because our second qualifying group, Group B, will be out in just a moment for GT3 Cup. More action to come here at Road America.
It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you've really wanted. Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What? WeatherTech me.
So don't be shy, enjoy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
We are back to qualifying action here at Road America for Group B in the Porsche Sprint Challenge GT3 Cup Series. I'm Joe Peak, back once again with Joey Atterbury and Ashley Freiberg. Guys, a frenetic first session and sort of weird first session, Ashley, for those drivers. These hopefully get a little bit more leeway on that one, but we are slightly behind schedule, so everybody's been sitting and baking in those cars on pit lane.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully Group B just took some notes there as they were observing in pit lane. Just be clean on these out laps, right? We don't have a whole lot of time. It's a 20-minute session. You have to get 2 laps in for race 1 and race 2. So just be clean so that we can keep it green.
I like then a nice rhyme to it, yeah. And we were riding on board with Cole Kleck, our points leader over in the Pro-Ams up to this stage. This is third to last of our weekends, but we have 2 races each weekend, we have to remember. So there's still a lot of points on the board. He has not wrapped it up yet, but he's been the dominating force over everybody else. Unfortunately, for those who are hoping for a close fight, Alan Metney not back once again as he had to miss out on VAR. Looks like he won't be here for Road America as well. But that is good news for Therese Lalou, who got an extra lap in, Joey, on that session prior and is sitting 3rd in points. So she's going to be watching Cole Kleck to see where he puts the car here in this session.
And this, of course, is that orange car of Cole Kleck rounding through what is turn number 12 here on this Road America racetrack. So these cars are just now completing their out laps. You see a lot of tire scrubbing. That is pretty standard, but what I like to see out the windshield of this orange machine, this 211, is nothing in front of him, and in fact, the car behind him has left a nice gap. That means you don't ever have to look in your rearview mirror. You're only looking forward out the windshield and focusing on your marks.
And he gets the green flag for his first flying lap. Now, last time, everybody's first flying lap was interrupted by a wreck, so we're kind of just hoping and holding our breath here to make sure we at least get this one onto the board. Now, besides Cole, who's fighting for the Pro-Am, other major face to watch out for is Caden Kelly. He has been fighting with Scott Blend in the Masters all season and found another gear at VIR. Managed to beat him both times in both races out in Virginia. But those are only the only time he had managed to do that before was second race at Sonoma, where he came out ahead of him. So for Caden Kelly, this has been almost a turning point because this now marks the second half of the season, Joey. So he kind of needs to carry this on to keep hold of Scott.
Yeah, and those championship points, it's just every single race you have to be mindful of it, and especially out here in the Sprint Challenge competition. Remember, we've got multiple classes between the Masters and the Pro-Ams, and we've seen already this year where we've got races where the Pro-Ams and the Masters are mixed up racing each other and actually lose a few positions. So it's not just where you are overall in terms of that championship, but you also have to think within class and what's best for your result at the end of the day.
Well, and that brings up an interesting point, Ashley, because we always talk about that in the race itself. You've got the different classes around you. How do you deal with that? Do you think about that in qualifying at all? Do you take into account, I'm going to be separated by this other class and I'm fighting this driver? We got somebody off in the kink.
I think just dipping 2 wheels off and it's dusty and dry out there, but that was, you're right, Joe, a huge cloud on the exit of the kink.
Yeah, good thing he saved that there, as we learned from the first session. It's definitely slippery. But to go back to what you were asking earlier, Joe, when you're in qualifying, you're just trying to put down your personal best lap down. You can't really control where your other competitors end up in this situation. Ultimately, we've got Cole actually with a better time than our previous pole sitter with a 209.8. So he's a whole 1/10 of a second faster with the overall pole. Really, really impressive lap there by Cole.
That's going to be really important. Remember, due to the compromised first session, we have heard that it looks like they're thinking about putting them kind of one row at a time. So Cole could be looking at the outside of that front row, even if it is a quicker time, but we'll see what they decide in the end. Well, many cars flash by. Tony Melito putting himself second in this group with a 2:11.3, but 1.5 second off of Cole Kleck. That really drives home what a stellar first lap that was.
That was a huge first lap from Cole Kleck, and I think it's about to get even more impressive out of that orange 211 because he just set a purple Sector 1 time. I expect him to back it up in Sector 2 as well. Typically, we see these cars just get a little bit faster on that second lap. All the pressures, all the temperatures are finally there. And not only that, but the driver has already experienced that first lap. He says, okay, well, I can go a little bit deeper here, or maybe if I back off this corner entry, I can get a better run out onto the straightaway, which would benefit me lap time down the road.
I think that's exactly what Cole Kleck is doing, because Sector 1 was purple again for that 211. Oh, but second sector was not a personal best.
I wouldn't worry about that. We only seen a 50.0 in terms of the fastest Sector 2, and this is a 50.1, so it's only a tenth off.
Yeah, so not losing too much in there. Interesting to note, I talked about Caden Kelly. He's only down in third right now, but I mean, fantastic result here on the first laps, Ashley, by Laura Eli. Second in class and sixth overall. She seems to like this place.
Yeah, she's doing a great job there in P2. P1 up there, she's not too far off of him, and it looks like she's got some personal bests going this lap as well. So it'll be interesting to see if she can get a little bit closer to that pole position.
Coming around here with Caden onto that main straight. Definitely needs some good times here. Not far down in terms of the Masters class, although it was third, it's now fourth as Frank Vitiello, Frank the Tank, as some of our staff like to refer to him as, has managed to put himself into second in class. Josh Conley also jumping up now fourth in the Pro-Am, so an excellent lap from Josh.
I think I saw that Caden Kelly slipped his way into second in that Masters class, seventh overall, so the times are definitely starting to roll in. This is that driver I was just talking about, driving this 208 car, Caden Kelly. So it's going to round out of what is turn number 3 on this racetrack under the Sargento Bridge. Always makes me hungry. I do love some cheese.
This is a dangerous place for me and my cholesterol, no doubt. But as we watch them come down into the braking of turn 5, as drivers try to spot their markers, you can see them just hovering as close as they can to that rumble strip without really leaning on it too much. There's certainly ones you can take here and ones you cannot.
I think as I'm looking at timing and scoring, the biggest difference between Group A and Group B, obviously Cole Kleck with the ultimate fastest lap time, but we've got a couple cars here in that 2-minute 10 lap time bracket. We did not have that in Group A qualifying, and these are all Pro-Am cars. So remember, we saw Danny Deschelsky there in Group A kind of run away with it. He is going to have some company when it comes race time.
We're down to 11 minutes left. Drivers have kept it clean up to this stage without any huge incidents, just a little off here and there for various drivers. Todd Treffert, your fastest right now in the Masters, has not changed order behind him. Eli Kelly, and then Mark Bowden with a great job putting himself up into fourth, just ahead of Vitiello. We've also got another of our 991 drivers, Snyder, out there, currently sitting in 17th overall. Unfortunately, we haven't seen Dan Ammon, but we are hearing that there is a transponder issue with that car, so that might explain why we don't see a time for him. He's one of the, I think the only driver this season that is doing both the Cayman and the 911 Cup cars.
I believe you're right. I think that he's been doing a terrific job hopping between the platforms as we see the 297 cross the line here. I see Cole Kleck also in pit lane, so that orange number 211, our provisional pole sitter, has said, you know what, don't want to take any more life out of the tires, bring it down pit lane and get ready for the race out there. Is my timing and scoring screen still sees a lot of green. Green means personal best sector time, so I have a feeling it's still going to continue to shuffle.
Laura Eli had a couple personal best sectors that last lap. It looks like she's trying to go for P1, but just missed it with that final sector there. So I'm curious to see if she's going to try to go for another one here. So with all those master cars with nose to tail, it's getting pretty tight. I know Caden Kelly, this is his first time ever at Road America. So really good result here so far, sitting in P3.
See, I didn't know this was his first time, so that does explain why he's maybe not as competitive as we anticipated out there, as he's still on a bit of a learning curve. But yeah, Laura, who's had a bit of a mixed bag over here in North America, she competed in USA West last season, has definitely taken a step up this weekend and looking excellent. The ongoing soap opera with that car is that we discovered back at VIR that they have a rubber ducky on there, and the crew likes to claim that is their G-force meter in the car. If it gets moved off, then they've hit something too hard.
I would love to see a bobblehead rubber ducky maybe in there, so it's kind of dual purpose, right? Not only for the G-force meter, but amusement for the driver as well.
So my family has started taking a role in this, actually, because I showed my wife and she loved that. But her first comment was, he needs a helmet. He needs to be safe. So I told Laura, she says, we'll try and find one from, one of those little NFL helmets.
Joe, you're a great artist. Why don't you go over there with a Sharpie? Help him out.
I might just have to do that, honestly, and make sure that the duck stays safe on there. But one car backing off there coming into turn 14, just trying to find a little bit of space. In fact, a bunch of them. Look at that, 4 of them all in a row. That's not going to be helpful, although a few are ducking off into pit lane.
Not ideal when you're trying to set up a perfect qualifying lap. You don't want the competitors in front of you holding you up at all. I believe that's Mark Bowden crossing the start-finish line here. He's still sitting at a 2:12.14. That is 4th in that Masters class. And kind of to your point, Ashley, Laura Eli has actually jumped up the board. She's currently sitting in 2nd in that Masters class now.
Yeah, she's doing a great job. And, I mean, her and Caden have essentially run the same lap time. So we know where Caden has been in the previous races. So definitely Laura really loves Road America, as we could see.
Both of them have just entered pit lane, so they're going to sit on that time. Yeah, you mentioned that. I had failed to look at that. I think there's like 300ths between the pair of them. That is incredibly close, which should make for a very fun race. Although Caden, as we mentioned, is more focused, at least big picture-wise, on Scott Blend. So he won't be wanting to mess around fighting with Laura too much if he can help it. But we'll see what the race itself holds as we're down to 7 minutes left to go now. We still have about half the cars, it looks like, are on track and lapping, but a good chunk of them have called time and decided that's fast enough.
And to your point, I see Laura Eli has pulled it into pit lane, as well as Manship here in the 216 also into pit lane. So if you look on the timing tower, got about half the cars out there on the racetrack, about half of them in pit lane, and I like this. The competitor in me says qualifying, yes, it's important, but the race is more importanter, right? You need to really focus on the race and the equipment underneath you. Save it for the race, especially if you've got a good banker lap.
I think it's Martin Brundle that likes to say it's Sunday where they hand out the points. For us, it's both Saturday and Sunday, to be fair, but yeah, it's so important there. Although Josh Conley looks like he's headed back out on track. I'm showing him as on an out lap right now, so maybe he changed his mind.
It also goes into the driver's psyche as well. If you were able to go out there and put down 2 laps that you know are great qualifying laps, you pull it back into pit lane, you know you've saved the car, it gives you that extra little bit of confidence going into the race saying, oh, I know the second row's got 5 more laps. I know the third row's got 6 more laps on their tires. I just give that confidence to the driver, and that's really what they want to start the race.
Ashley, what was your approach in qualifying? Do you like to try and get out there for more laps if you can, or once you feel satisfied, you say, let's save those tires?
I mean, it really depends on the situation. In terms of, like, we see Josh Conley going back out on track. I mean, I've certainly done that before, where you come into pit lane, maybe you need a quick change, maybe a quick tire pressure bleed. Some things I will ask my crew. I mean, certainly you want to go for your first flyer right away, right at the peak of the tire. That's where you're going to find the most time out of the car. But then remember, you want to get 2 laps in. So I will sometimes ask, hey, where am I at with my second lap? And if it's, a tenth or two, I might be able to still sneak ahead of somebody or, multiple competitors on that second flyer. So sometimes it is worth going back out for a second run.
It's a good point, but on screen I was just wincing because it looks like the 214, who is our current pole sitter in the Masters, having a heck of a moment out of turn 6, car getting sideways. I did see some stuff from race control about his race link signal. I think that might just be kind of academic stuff, so hopefully that doesn't affect where they put him at the end of this session. But he's back out as well now because he was in pit lane. Caden Kelly has also emerged from pit lane. There's definitely a number of drivers that have fooled us here that we thought were done are going to continue.
It's a tough position when you look at drivers such as Caden Kelly when it's only 0.03 of a second up to that next position. And sometimes having the analytical brain can be a bit harsh, right? You think you can go and do it, and you know that you can go and do it, but is the equipment up for it? Is it going to be fast enough? Is the track temperature cool enough that you can actually go and do it? It really is in the driver's hands, right? And it's up to their decision-making process. Is it worth it to try, or is it worth it to sit? It's up to them.
And to Caden's perspective, we were saying this is his first race weekend here. Maybe there's a specific corner where he knows, hey, I definitely left a couple tenths on the table here. I want to go for it again. So to kind of add to that, we're not sure where Caden stands, mentally with this, but it looks like he's feeling pretty confident. He can find, those few hundreds.
Hopefully we find out soon. He's on his outlap right now, so we don't have any sectors to really tell us, but we'll watch when he goes by to see if he starts to light up green. Now a lot more cars are in. Only left out on the track are Josh Conley, Caden Kelly, Tim Kesman, and it looks like Dave Musial and Grady Willingham is out there, along with Snyder in the 991 car. So yeah, pretty much everybody else is head in. Although now I'm seeing Treffert out on another outlap. We just saw him on screen.
So I wonder if they're sending the 214 out to try to manage that race link signal that you had pointed out in race control.
Yeah.
And so hopefully if they're telling the driver, hey, we just need to work on some stuff behind the scenes, then it's more just do the lap and don't take the life out of the tire.
Somebody was sitting in pit lane there with one of our pictures briefly, but continuing to watch this bright green Porsche Cup car come down towards the kink as we wait to see what kind of time they can get in here at the end. I believe that's the 244. That is Tim Kesman. And that very bright lime car comes down into Canada corner here to try and see if he can find some time in it. And Kesman is not setting personal best sectors, so I'm not sure if this is going to be good enough, but he'll have one last flyer here with time on the clock still as he crosses the line.
And it looks like Caden Kelly has just run his 2 personal best sectors in Sector 1 and Sector 2. So let's see if he can put it together in Sector 3. If it's enough time, I mean, he really only needs 0.4 of a second to be P1 in this group. So he might be trying to shoot for that.
Tim deciding not worth trying to take that last flyer as we see him come into pit lane. Since this is the final sector for Kelly, we're waiting for him. I think he's actually coming out of the final corner on screen now. Again, 2 personal bests. All he needs is the tiniest fraction of a second, even less than a tenth, to try and jump onto that front row. Ooh. He not only does that, he moves himself up to the Masters pole in 4th overall. That was an important lap.
A 211.2 out of that 208 car, so that's a lot of 2s on the board up there, but most importantly, P1 in terms of that Masters class.
Oh, and surprisingly, Dave Musial has managed to put the 231 up into 4th overall. Now that is showing as Dave Musial 2.0, actually. I thought it was just Musial Senior here racing, so it's both the Musials that are out racing. But an excellent lap from the 231, put himself onto the 2nd row.
I'm very impressed with the lap time that Caden Kelly was able to pick up, and I think Ashley was spot on with her call. When you've got a relatively new driver on a track that they haven't had experience on, you can take a little bit more risk out there and ask him. You have to trust the driver, first of all, right? And the driver has to provide reliable feedback. But obviously, Caden Kelly said, hey, I know I can go out there and do more, and he proved it.
Checkered flag is out on the session. Everybody who started that lap can now finish it, but I only see 4 drivers on our marching ants right now. So very few can manage to improve from here. We wait for the last of them to come to the line. I do not see much in the way of personal best sectors, though, so I'm not sure if we're going to see any shuffling on our tower.
We were talking about the weather and the wind a little bit earlier in the day. I mean, just take a look at this start-finish flag being held out right now. Race control shows about 6 miles an hour, but it's been gusting up to about 15 miles an hour is what I've seen. So, and that's a headwind going up the hill into turn number 1, but it's a tailwind going to turn number 5 and also Canada Corner.
So, looks like Josh Conley not able to improve. Musial 2.0 is out there. Caden Kelly is still out there. Kind of curious if Caden's going to try for a second faster lap as well, because like we said, you need both of those. And yes, he goes by. It wasn't an improvement. I'll have to check and see if that one was just as quick, though.
Looks like the last lap time was a 2:11.620, so it was more representative of where he was earlier on the board, just behind what would be Laura Eli. For the second lap, that is.
Yes, exactly. And that's it. That's everybody across the line. Let's go through the order of Group B now. That is going to be Cole Kleck, who has put it on the quickest time of this group, and I think of the first group as well. Siegel is going to be in P2. Then you've got third quickest for Javier Ripple Jr. An excellent lap for him. We haven't touched on that. Great improvement from VIR to here. Dave Musial 2.0 is fourth, with Caden Kelly, the quickest of the Masters, late in the session. What a stunner. Is going to be fifth overall. Melito sixth and Conley seventh. Then it is Treffert in eighth, Laura Eli ninth, and Tim Kesman rounds out our top 10.
And Mark Bowden back here in 11th with Frank Vitiello in 12th place. Herb back here in 13th with Eric Lapp in 14th. That's 7th in the Pro-Am class. We have Willingham 15th. John Manship back here in 16th. And then, of course, Snyder in 17th in the Invitational car. And then Dan Ammon, I'm curious how they're going to score him because his transponder was not working, but he was out there turning laps.
Yeah, so we'll wait for update on that. In the meantime, we'll have a short break. We'll be back with the first race of the weekend. The Caymans will be up at 1:30 p.m. Central Time. Make sure and tune in as we get ready for the action here at Road America.